Hello everyone, I am starting today on the floor because I'm going to do one last project to get rid of all of these dried flowers. Right now these dried flowers are sitting in terracotta pots that I'm going to need probably in about 4 to 6 weeks for herbs for my garden, so I have to get these out. Now let me do a quick review of kind of the life cycle of dried flowers. I will grow them in the garden. I will harvest them usually from around like July through the end of the season. I tie the flowers in bundles. I hang them inside from the curtain rods that I have screwed into the wall. They all stay there unless I use some in projects before them, but I really am still working with fresh flowers and I don't do much with dried flowers until the winter. So they stay on the curtain rod, Christmas tree goes up, dried flowers go into the tree, and then when I take the tree down, I take them off. And this was the first year that I stored them like this, and I really liked how it turned out. Now there was more. I have been doing some things with them over the last few months, but now I need to get rid of them all. And I figured a great way to do that would be to make some giveaway bouquets. I did this for Valentine's Day with some dried flowers, and I wasn't sure how it was gonna go because I will put out fresh bouquets all season long on the sidewalk and whoever walks by grabs them. But Valentine's Day was the first time I did it in cold weather with dried flowers, and they were all gone in under an hour. So I'm gonna make as many as I can with the dried flowers I have left in celebration of the first day of spring. Technically right now it's the last day of winter. I think you'll see this video the day after the first day of spring, but it's probably the same every year, but I am so ready for this winter to be over and to get some nice weather. So first thing I need to do is dump all these flowers out. But this is what I have. So I'm going to make, they're not going to be giant bouquets because I would love to have at least 10 to give away. So I'm going to make the bouquets. Again, not a floral designer, just going to put together what I think looks pretty. I have some rubber bands and twist ties to hold them together. And then I'm going to wrap them in some brown paper. My giveaway bouquets with fresh flowers, I use jars, but jars don't really work as well for dried flowers and I want to save them for my fresh flowers. So that's what we're gonna do. I also wanna talk a little bit about a book that I was recommended by one of you here, which I fell in love with. So I think we'll start making the bouquets, we'll talk a little bit about that, and then I will show you how I plan to put them outside. So I'm gonna grab some of this peach status. Maybe we'll make a more neutral one first, followed by a bright one. We'll add some of the celosia. And I do have pruners here to trim because I'm not really sure like how long the stems are going to be. Some of the stems I did keep longer. Some of them I have cut. It's always a good idea to start with longer stems because it's much easier to trim the stems than to add on to them. All right, let's add some white status. And you know what? I just realized I actually have one more bundle of flowers that I think will look really good in this one. I have these dried roses, which were from the grocery store. No hate on grocery store flowers. In fact, the white status I think were from a grocery store as well. I think these will fit in really nicely with this color of bouquet. And I did already remove the thorns before drying them. I try not to give away bouquets that might have thorns on them, so I do try to remember to remove everything so no one accidentally stabs themselves. Ooh, yeah, I'm gonna like these together. I think that looks good for one, right? Again, I could make huge bouquets, but I want to have a few to give away, well, more than just a few, so that I can give them to as many people as possible. So I think I'm going to stop here with this one. I'd be happy if I just found a free bouquet on the sidewalk that looked like this. So next step then is I'm going to tie it with a rubber band. Actually, first I'm going to trim the stems to about the same length. Tie a rubber band around it, which I only have 2 rubber bands. And I wish I had more because that makes this a lot easier, but the twist ties I will start using after I get through the first 2 rubber bands. Okay, now I'm going to wrap it in some paper. So I'll bring it up close for that because I don't want to just leave this like this. I want to make it look a little extra special. Here is how I'm going to wrap each bouquet. I have a rectangular piece of brown paper. You can use grocery bags turned inside out. You can use, if there's paper packing material, if you want to make it extra pretty, any gift wrap that you have lying around. So I'm going to use this to wrap the bouquets to make them look a little bit extra special. So here's this first bouquet. I really like how it turned out. I'm going to take the bouquet, lay it diagonally so that it faces the upper left corner. Then I'm going to take the lower left corner. We're going to do a fold over, and then I'm going to keep it in place with a piece of tape. Right there. Then I'm going to fold the other side over. I'm going to do the same thing with this side and a piece of tape. All right, step one. Now I'm going to tie some twine around it, and I think I'm going to add a tag, maybe. We'll see. I'm going to see how it looks with just twine first, because sometimes I do have a tendency to go overboard with adding things. So if I just do a little pull like that, and then a bow, I think that's cute. I think people will be happy to see this as they walk by. So I'm going to set this one to the side. I'm going to figure out if I do want to do anything else hanging from this ribbon. But now let's make a bright colored bouquet. So bright colors basically mean all of the status. I really, really loved the different colors of these. I'm planning to grow all of them again in the garden this year. In the garden, I don't love them as much to fill out the space, but I absolutely love them dried and in bouquets. So I am growing, I think, even 2 or 3 more varieties this year. Now let's also add some gomphrena, so it's not just a bouquet of status. That is one thing I do wish I had more varieties of dried flowers just to add to the bouquets, but that is something I'm going to try to do this year. Ooh, I think I have some other dried flowers, random ones that'll look nice. They kind of fit the purple color, and honestly, I don't remember what these were. These might have been grocery store flowers that I dried, but I think these will look nice mixed in with this bouquet too. All right, I think that's good for this one, so let's wrap this one up as well. So here's this one, same thing, laying down in the upper left corner, folding the bottom left corner over, and then folding this over the other side, and then just pushing these down a little bit more into the paper. I'm going to tie with a piece of twine, a little bow. And there we go. Oh, this is going to be so much fun to put out. So what I'm going to do now is continue making the bouquets. I will make them first, then wrap them and tie them. And while I do this, I just wanted to talk a little bit about a book I absolutely loved. So in the comments of one of my videos, someone recommended The Service Berry, and I listened to it as an audiobook. It wasn't very long at all. I think it was maybe about a 2-hour listen. And this was the first time I've been listening to a book and needed to stop what I was doing and open up my laptop and take notes, because it tied so many things together that I've kind of experienced with life, and I feel like a lot of people probably have. But the book is basically talking about, well, the importance of nature and how the market economy can sometimes negatively impact nature, and a gift-giving economy is something that we should focus more on. So I have my notes here while I make my bouquets, because again, I thought it was really interesting, and my undergraduate degree is actually in business, and I took, micro and macroeconomics. So being able to look back and see, what was I learning in college versus what do I value now? How can it apply to the real world? So in the book, she describes the market economy as an economic system in which production and prices are determined by unrestricted competition between private businesses. And then she defines the gift-giving economy as systems of exchange in which goods and services circulate without explicit expectations of direct compensation, which helps to nurture community. And right as I started hearing that, I give away these bouquets, not just to make me happy, but also try to bring some joy to my community. I never expect anything back. I don't want to be paid to do this because I have extra flowers, so I want to be able to give them away. And I think some people would look at this and say, well, it's kind of a waste if you aren't charging and getting money from this. But again, if I don't truly need it, if I have enough or an abundance of something, it does make me feel better to give it away than to try to sell it. So that was the first point when I was like, oh, I need to stop what I'm doing and start taking notes on this book. And some other distinctions between the two different types of economies. So in a market economy, the currency is obviously money, but in a gift economy, the currency is relationships, again, focused on building relationships within your community. It also made a contrast where the market economy is more I-focused, whereas the gift economy is more we-focused, where those who have enough give to those who don't. Now, where this all started to tie into the classes I took in college was when they mentioned that metrics like GDP only count monetary value, ignoring the worth of clean air, forests, and biodiversity. And a quote that made me sad from the book is, an old growth forest in a market economy is worth far more as lumber than it is as the lungs of the earth. Whereas in a gift economy, we would appreciate the environmental impact of nature even more than we do. So in my undergrad economics classes, I remember the charts on the board, supply and demand, and you want to find that intersection, or maybe you even want to create scarcity so that people feel the urge to need to buy whatever it is now. And I don't think we had any sort of environmental class in my undergrad. I could be mistaken, but I don't remember any. The first time I took any sort of business environment class was when I was getting my MBA. And for part of that, we had to interview somebody I chose the steel mill because that's where I kind of grew up. And the person I was talking to for my paper, they mentioned how the restrictions are hurting their bottom line, how much more revenue they could be bringing in if there weren't EPA restrictions. Then while I was sitting there in my head, I'm like, but what about the value of not polluting the air for the people that live around the steel mill? So it brought me right back to that, where we need to incorporate the value of clean air, clean water, trees, biodiversity into our economic plan. And they actually said that that is starting to happen. Let me find that. Yes, so this system is called ecological economics, which integrates Earth's natural systems and human values into traditional economic systems. It's a way of considering how we provide for ourselves. So not just are we providing for ourselves, but how are we doing that? And then two other things that kind of stood out. The whole book was incredible, so I definitely recommend reading or listening to it. But they talked about how the gift economy surges in time of crisis, because when we are in times of crisis, we turn more to each other than just focusing on ourselves as individuals. And people will share food. They'll share clothing. Think every time there's a natural disaster and all the donations go up. So that was something that stood out to me. If we can do that in times of crisis, we should continue doing that when we are not in times of crisis. And then the very last part, which really hit home for me, was the quote, if we have to use more than the earth can replenish to keep our system from collapsing, it's time for a new system. So with that, I'm going to keep making these bouquets because I realized I talked more than I made a bouquet. So I'll catch up with you when all these are made and wrapped, and we'll see how many we have, and then I'll show you the next step. So here are the finished bouquets. I do have to wrap them, but I love how they turned out. So I ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 unwrapped. The 2 that I wrapped, so I will be able to give away 14 bouquets tomorrow. Now I'm gonna wrap them, and then we will figure out what box I'm gonna put these in. You guys, this makes me so happy. All 14 bouquets are now wrapped. Now, today is not spring, tomorrow is, in present Bethany time, but not when you're seeing this. So I'm going to put them into this box and this basket. We'll see if they all fit. I might need to bring down another basket, and I will just put up a sign. I'll include this in the video. I'll put up a sign tomorrow that says, please take bouquet, happy spring, and hopefully everyone takes one. And if there's any left over, I'll just give them to other people that I know, but I am so excited. I also don't know what happened to me, if this is age, but when I was growing up, I always prided myself on being the person that didn't cry during sad movies, and now I feel like I'm getting emotional happy tears over bouquets of flowers. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead now and we'll put these into the baskets, and then I think that's gonna be the last step for today, and then I'll show you how it looks tomorrow. Well, these fit better than I expected, so I'm gonna leave them up here for now, keep them away from the cats, and then I will bring them down tomorrow morning, have the sign, put them out, and then we'll see how quickly these go. So I will see you tomorrow. Oh, I'm so excited for spring. So happy first day of spring, I guess. I didn't know it was supposed to snow. In fact, I don't think it said it was supposed to snow. And this might be one of, I mean, there's not like a lot of it, but this might be one of the snowiest days we've had since the beginning of winter. So that's fun. I do think it's going to get a little warmer this afternoon, so I might put the flowers out then. Well, it's now 2 days past the start of spring because it was snowing, like I showed you. And then it was very windy, so they would have flown away. Plus, there was construction work going on. So I don't even think that many people would have been walking up and down, but we'll see today, now it's a bit calmer, still cold though, if people take the bouquets. Okay, 2 days later, but the bouquets are now outside, so we'll see how quickly these go. Well, it's now been just over an hour and I think about half the bouquets are gone. So I'm just gonna leave them out there the rest of the day. If they don't get taken today, I'll bring them back out tomorrow and so on and so forth until all the bouquets have been taken. So I'm gonna end this video here. Let me know if you have any questions and I will see you in the next one. Bye.